Hi, my name's Alex and I'm the Refugee Campaign Coordinator at Amnesty International Australia. I'm here today to introduce our new campaign, Rethink Refugees, and take you through a refugee conversation, which is what we think is the most important way that people in Australia can help raise more awareness around this important issue. We all know that there are people that come here every year who are fleeing persecution, war and violence. And Australia has a really long and proud history of helping refugees out and giving them protection. But in recent years, what we've seen is these people who are not doing anything wrong be portrayed as undeserving of our help and our protection. So increasingly, Australians are worried about asylum seekers arriving here by boat, and because of this, Amnesty International has researched community attitudes towards refugees and looked into what's driving the public hostility. And what we've found is that it's mainly a result of some common myths and confusion about the facts of asylum seeker arrivals. We know that Australians are really compassionate people and like helping out people in need. So we believe that once people know the facts and are given the opportunity to empathise with the real stories of refugees, they will rethink their position on refugees and understand why we really need to protect refugees coming to Australia. But it's not enough for just Amnesty to say this. We need people like you to be involved as well. We need people having these conversations in their houses, in their workplaces, with their colleagues, with their families and friends. So that's why we're asking people around the country to have this important conversation. Conversations create the opportunity for fears and apprehensions to be worked through and misinformation to be corrected. All we're asking is that people consider these facts and think about the personal stories of people that have come here by boat and then based on that, rethink their position on refugees. So I'm now going to hand over to Tom and Ruby, our wonderful volunteer amateur actors, who are going to have a conversation. They're going to play the parts of two housemates who have differing views on refugees.
There's another article here about those boat people. I feel like it's in the newspaper every day.
Yeah, they really do go to town. Do you agree with keeping asylum seekers locked up in detention?
Oh, definitely. We need to send a strong message.
Okay, so the first thing to remember is to always start with an open question, like, how do you feel? Or, what do you think about? This allows the other person to reflect and respond to the question you're asking them. If you ask a closed question, you just get a yes or no answer, and it can be really difficult to shift someone from that position. Okay, let's try again.
What do you think about keeping asylum seekers locked up in detention?
I think it's fair enough. They've broken the rules to get to Australia, and we need to make sure they don't think they can just jump the queue and get a free ride to our country.
It's funny because they're not actually breaking any rules because it's not illegal to seek asylum in Australia, and there's actually no queue. So I read somewhere that 99% of people that come, I guess, are looking to seek asylum can't actually get to an office to apply for asylum, and the safest place for them to actually apply for asylum is in Australia. So it's pretty crazy. Imagine if it was us and we were like, two students, and one day we woke up and all of a sudden everything we ever knew was illegal and we had to escape to save our lives and the lives of our friends. Don't you think you'd probably think about getting on a boat if it was the only way you could maintain you'd be safe?
I suppose so, but how do we know their lives are really at risk? I reckon they're just coming to Australia for our jobs.
Really, Tom? Wow, I can't believe that you're lacking compassion on this issue. I thought you'd be really different about it. I mean, I can't believe you'd say that about people who are in desperate need of our help.
So, these conversations can get quite intense. It's a really heated topic, but it's important to not get too emotional. When you do that, people just put up barriers and don't connect with the issue at all. So instead of attacking the other person, it's a lot better to listen to what they're saying and help them to explore what their real concerns are.
I suppose so, but how do we really know their lives are at risk? I reckon they just want to get a job in Australia.
Yeah, I used to worry about the same thing quite a lot. And then I found out that actually 90% of the people that come here by boat are found to be genuine refugees. So, they've escaped persecution, torture, all sorts of things like rape, disappearances, and they really need our help.
Okay, I didn't know that, but even if that's true, we can't take all the refugees in the world. Don't we have to draw the line somewhere? I mean, what about Australia's tiny population? We're going to be swamped by asylum seekers on boats.
So There are a bunch of different issues all mixed up here in Tom's latest statement. People have gotten really confused because this issue is talked about so much in the media in relation to so many other things that are actually kind of unrelated, like population and migration. So the best way to really handle this kind of conversation is to ask questions, to try and get to the root of Tom's concerns.
Okay, I didn't know that. But even if that's true, we can't take all the refugees in the world. Don't we have to draw the line somewhere? I mean, what about Australia's tiny population? We'll be swamped by asylum seekers on boats.
There are a lot of refugees out there. There's I think somewhere near 10 million globally. But don't you think we have enough room and enough resources to help the few that are arriving here on boats, on leaky boats up on our shores?
But there's too many of them coming.
Well, it's funny, you'd think there'd be thousands, millions arriving every year by the way the media portrays it, but it's actually less than 3% of our annual migration intake of people that come by boat in Australia. And it would take 10 years to fill the MCG with the small amounts of people coming by boat.
Really, only 3%? I thought it was way higher. Why is there so much attention on the issue then? People are always talking about refugees as if it's some kind of crisis.
Yeah, refugees have kind of become like a political football, really, and it's really a political game for politicians. And I think we've forgotten the fact that they're real people that are desperately asking for our help. And as a country like Australia, I know that Australians can find it in their heart. And, I think one of the things that touched me the most, I was looking on a website just the other week and saw a story about a young girl who'd come here on a boat with her family, and now she's an Australian citizen. She's contributing to the community. She's actually a medical student, and she's so grateful that Australia, allowing her to come here as a refugee, actually gave her another chance and that she's safe. So for me, that made me realise it could be any of us, and it's pretty amazing that, refugees contribute to our society, and it's pretty important.
Thanks for explaining some of that to me. You've really given me a lot to think about.
Okay, so hopefully now you have an idea about how these conversations play out in real life. Obviously, not every conversation is the same, but the key things to remember are the facts, which are that it's not illegal to seek asylum in Australia, that people that arrive by boat are nearly always genuine refugees fleeing violence, persecution and terror, and that the numbers arriving in Australia are so incredibly small, only 3% of our own overall migration. And the other important thing to get across are those personal stories. The personal stories of the people that have actually come here by boat, and your personal story. Your personal connection to this issue, why you feel so strongly about protecting refugees in Australia. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to know everything, but if you want more information or if you want to find out other ways to get involved, please visit us at www.rethinkrefugees.com.au. Thanks.
I got it.
I'm Finn, and I played the part of Tom.
And I'm Ruby, and I played the part of Ruby.